So what does a constitutional sheriff look like? Well, let me put it into historical perspective. One of my heroes, and I asked several people across this country that if they would ever give me the chance to shake her hand, I wanted to, but she died before I got the opportunity. And her name was Rosa Parks. And she taught us all what we do with stupid laws. And Edmund Burke said, the enforcement of stupid laws is the essence of tyranny. And that's why, in 1955 in Montgomery, Alabama, when she refused to get at the back of the bus, she set an example for all of us. My dear friends, none of you are ever to get to the back of the bus. Do you understand me? You don't get to the back of the bus. We stay where we are. We're not compromising. When the bus driver got off the bus, when she refused to get to the back of the bus, and he called the sheriff's office and said, "Get this troublemaker off my bus. I want her off of here. She's a troublemaker. She's breaking the law." And this wasn't just tradition, it was the law. And the good constitutional sheriff was at the office at the time, and he told his deputy, "Come on, let's go. We're going to teach you what we do with these people." And the deputy's going, "Man, Rosa Parks is in for it now. The sheriff's going to go make an example of her." And they get on the bus, and the sheriff walks up to Rosa Parks and he says, "Ma'am, just what seems to be the problem here?" And she looks up at him a little bit timid, but firm with a quiet voice says, "Why can't we just be left alone?" And he goes, "You know what, Mrs. Parks? You're right. Can I sit down next to you and shake your hand?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, sure." And he does. And he says, "What you did tonight took a lot of courage." And he says, "Where do you get off the bus?" And she goes, "2 stops up on Henry." And he says, "Do you mind if I get off with you and escort you home safely?" She goes, "No, I guess that'll be all right." She's still not quite sure what's going on. And they get off the bus and he goes, "Rosa, it's kind of late. Do you need to get some sandwiches or hamburgers for your family?" She goes, "That'd be nice." He goes, "There's an all-white restaurant right there. Let's go." And now this good constitutional sheriff is teaching the whole community what we do with stupid laws. And so they go in and, boy, do you think the town's buzzing now? Oh yeah. And so they go outside and you know what? The good sheriff sees an all-white water fountain. And he turns to Rosa and he says, "Rosa, you might as well make it 3 for 3. She takes a drink. And he walks her home, and the deputy's still wondering what's going on. And Mr. Parks sees him walking up the steps of the porch. And he goes outside and goes, "What did Rosa do now?" And the sheriff goes, "Take it easy." And he said, "Mr. Parks, do you have a gun in the home?" And he says, "I sure do, Sheriff. It's a 12 gauge. And he says, "Is it loaded?" He said, "Of course." So make sure that it stays that way and keep it handy tonight. There might be trouble in the town. But I want you to know that this deputy is going to be driving by your home every 15 minutes, aren't you, deputies? You know? And now that deputy knows what we do with stupid laws. Did that constitutional sheriff uphold the law? You better believe he did. He upheld the supreme law of the land and he kept his oath. And now, what does your constitutional sheriff do today? The same for Rosa Parks, the tax protester. The same for Rosa Parks, the gun owner. The same for Rosa Parks, the homeschooler. And the same for Rosa Parks who just wants to be left alone. Do you know what being left alone is? It's called freedom. And my dear friends, when I was at that police training, remember the one where I was converted to the Constitution? Remember, when I got converted to the Constitution, it was police training. And this great man, God rest his soul, Dr. Scouser, had 240 big tough cops at this seminar. And he asked all of us to stand up. And he taught us this little kindergarten exercise that I have now nicknamed America's Political Prayer. And it's with every ounce of dedication in my heart and soul to you and your grandkids and kids and my grandkids and my kids. And just as a side note, I'll tell you that my first grandchild was born 3.5 years ago on the 4th of July. And her name is Liberty of Dawn this to my children, and I've done all of that to all 5. And now I've started to teach it to my grandchildren. And Liberty knows this. And I leave it with you as dedication to America, dedication to the Founding Fathers. And my dedication to you is I look into your faces and I see that you're the same as the people that I spoke to in Spokane and Hamilton and Helena and Pennsylvania and California and all over the place in this country where I can't even remember where I've been. And lots of times in Texas, and I just did 5 in Texas this past weekend. And your eyes say all the same. Some of your faces are a little bit different. People who just want America to be America again. And that's all this is about. And we hope that we'll have our sheriffs back us up on this holy cause. Because with them, we win. Without it, I hate to even consider the alternative. We've got to have our sheriffs on board. And I don't have any more patience anymore with any politician who will rather compromise our freedom instead of standing for it and keeping their word. And you know what? I lost my job, and you know what? Big deal. And what I learned from that was something else very important. That it's a lot more important to keep your word and your oath than it is to keep your job. And I know that for a fact. And so I close tonight with that political prayer. And don't forget, I learned this at police training. And this is how it goes. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. You ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. And like little Libby says, that's the eagle. Folks, she'll be free as long as you and I keep it that way. Thank you so much.